Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Alertus webinar series. My name is Sharice Ruan, Marketing Specialist at Alertus Technologies. During this presentation, Ryan Oakley, National Sales Director, and Joseph Tuck, Sales Engineer, will provide insight on how you can use IP technology to transform your desk phones into effective emergency notification devices. Feel free to submit your questions during the webinar at any time, and they will be addressed during the Q&A session at the end of this presentation. This webinar is being recorded and will be shared with you after today's session. If you have any questions after this presentation, please email marketing@alertus.com. Now I'd like to turn it over to Ryan and Joe.
All right, thank you very much, Sharice. And if you're an Alertus veteran, I'm excited to be back on the webinar series. It's been a little while. We've had a good number of our team members join for different webinars, and if you're new to Alertus, welcome. We're looking forward to covering the Alertus VoIP notification solution, and you'll find that VoIP notification, supports some of the manufacturers directly. Others were able to leverage their audio notifications. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the presentation. We start with an overview of Alertus for those that are new to Alertus, to kind of talk through a little bit about Alertus technologies. Start getting you to think about how you send an alert and how you can really rethink the way you send that to simplify it, make it easy, quick, consolidate your net messaging, and really leverage as many assets as you can. One which the corporation or your campus invests heavily in is the VoIP telephony or the phones on desks. Talk a little bit about some of the challenges of relying on just one notification mode or a combination of, and some of the challenges that are around activating. We'll talk a little bit about the Alertus solution and then really dive into the details of what the VoIP system notification and integration can support. A few features that people aren't really aware of is, in addition to displaying the message, the Cisco VoIP integration, we can actually monitor dialed numbers. So that could be a 911 call on campus. Maybe they're calling campus security and you want a heads up or notify a wider group that the calls come into campus security. The system goes a lot deeper than just displaying a message. So we'll look forward to covering that with everybody. And then we'll conclude with a demo of the solution where we'll activate the system right from a Cisco VoIP phone with an extension, PIN code for security, and be able to issue that message throughout the demo room that we've got here. So who are we? Alertus Technologies. For more than a decade, Alertus has been committed to providing personalized, affordable mass notification solutions to our customers to quickly notify the entire facility in an emergency situation. So we really work to leverage the assets, both high-tech, low-tech, supplement those within your facilities to be able to get that word out quickly. We're a pioneer in this space, focusing in on the audio-visual notification capabilities so that the message is delivered in all fashions throughout the facility. Global reach, we're up to 2,000 plus customers, so we've got the experience to support your organization. Homegrown and operated, established in 2002 in the DC area. We were actually established out of a tragedy that occurred. The idea came, and we really kind of have built out a full approach to mass notification since those early days that can benefit your organization. And lastly, because mass notification or emergencies that strike, like active shooter, weather threats, potential social unrest, protests, those kind of things that impact your organization, it's not unique to a specific campus. We really work with all sectors, and our solution serves, industrial, corporate, or many corporate campuses. Higher education, obviously, is a big one. Healthcare, that's a very similar environment as higher ed, just slightly different mission there. K-12, local government, and military DoD. So we can really support all the needs of our customers, be it whatever segment they're in. So the first thing we kind of come to is, thinking about how you send your alert. Do you have the ability to send multiple alerts to multiple different endpoints, or do you just rely on one, say maybe a text message and email through your mass communications personal notification supplier? How do you handle multiple buildings when there's an emergency? Do you have to run personnel out to each of those buildings? Do you have to go to multiple systems? Do you have to activate your text messaging? Do you have to then run somebody out to the PA system? Send a desktop alert. We really want to consolidate that for one point of activation, so it's very simple. We'll talk about how we can help you there. Locations with no way to notify. It might be that you have a security personnel there from 8 till 5, but what about in out of hours? How do you get a notification to those that are staying and working late? Obviously, large organizations is where we excel in helping you manage that over both national or even multinational organizations. Employees moving between locations, you might know exactly, what office they report to, but which one are they really at when an emergency occurs? The other one, which we think about, cell phones and smartphones as being ubiquitous. There's still places where you can't take a cell phone for various reasons. In the government, some of the sensitive research in top secret areas, you can't take a cell phone. There's still areas within healthcare with sensitive equipment, and then sometimes depending on whether you're at school or something like that, there's restrictions. So there's always opportunities where you need additional capabilities for notification. And then the last part, which we'll get into a little bit more, is how long does this take? If you were to activate 4 or 5 of the notification capabilities, how long would that really take? Especially in consideration that the average active shooter event is about 7 minutes. And you really need that valuable time to address the event, but you also need to prioritize communication. So we're able to speed up that notification capability. So again, how do we bring this together? On the right, you maybe see a few of the areas. You may have an overhead PA. Maybe your fire alarm has speakers. Maybe you have some outdoor sirens, text messaging, email. There's pluses and minuses to all those. And a layered approach to bring all those together is really best practices. But if you're only activating one, you're leaving major gaps in your emergency notification approach. And unifying that with Alertus, we can help bring together a single point of activation. That could be a button in your operations center on the wall that locks down your campus. That could be a mobile app where you can log in if you're an authorized activator to activate while you're on the move. It could also be that you go to a Cisco VoIP phone, which we're going to demonstrate today, put in a PIN code associated with, say, an evacuation, and you don't even need to log into anything. You're just taking advantage of the nearest desk phone. Multimodal notification coverage, that's, sending it to everything. Audio visual, that's key because you need to make sure that any of these solutions you deploy are ADA accessible, which is federal law. We provide that, basically above and beyond capability to add audiovisual to your notification strategy. Leverage existing infrastructure. Nobody likes to be told they need to buy something new. We want to come in and, like you've invested in your VoIP system, we'd like to leverage that and use that to help notify, save time, and save lives. This kind of brings it together. Those three key areas where we really can help you is single point of activation, consolidated down so that instead of a 5, 10, 20, 30-minute activation process, you're down to 5, 10, 20 seconds, activating from the point or single point which makes the most sense for you during that emergency. Integration, connecting to all of your assets in building. We also integrate with all the major personal notification providers, so your Rave, Everbridge, Blackboard, Regroup, the OnSolve brands, which are SendWord now and Mirror 3. So bringing all those together for integration, not only in your building, but also with the other mass notification services you purchase and maintain. And then lastly, fill in the gaps. This is where Alertus really excels, where you can apply the alert beacon in an area where you have no notification endpoints, no assets to leverage. We can help by cost-effectively retrofitting that space with a extremely effective device that connects to your network. So I've been touching on a lot of these endpoints that we're able to help you leverage and add to your network. This gives you a good visual of how we can really leverage all these different endpoints throughout your facilities, on your campus, in your buildings. Everything from, even in two-way integrations, your VoIP phones, desktops, digital signage, alert beacons, and our mobile app's capability to get and deliver individual messages to people within your campus, and also those traveling between and not located at your current sites. So really pull a full approach to mass notification and delivering the message within your facility. So at this point, we really want to get into the details of the VoIP notification capability, which is exciting. We support Cisco and Avaya directly using all of the API and integration methods which were provided by the manufacturer to stay within spec, and we're able to use a lot of those features. So with Cisco VoIP or Alertus VoIP, we want to transform that office phone into a unified emergency notification communication system. That phone has a speakerphone, has a visual alert, has the ability to break into conversations, do whisper page. We're going to use all the features of that phone system to effectively notify. Simultaneously activate audio-visual notifications on all our select VoIP phone speakers. So, we can target the message very, very effectively. Works alongside Alertus desktop notification to provide a net-centric alerting endpoint to ensure consistent enterprise notifications. So if the user happens to be on their desktop, they will see the same message on their desktop as their VoIP phone. A benefit of having it on the VoIP phone as well, maybe that desktop's off. It's out of hours. The VoIP phone is a constantly always on device, or at least should be. You've got conference rooms where maybe that VoIP phone is the only means of communication to that conference room. Should nobody have their PC up or connected for desktop alerts, those kind of things. So really the VoIP phone is an excellent layer. It gives you redundancy, gives you access to a device that's always on. And finally, text audio notifications we sent real time, or they can be pre-scheduled. So if you've got a test or some event that you need to notify, remind your occupants of, you can schedule that ahead of time, so you can be concerned with actually running the scenario versus setting up a notification. VoIP key features, again, notification coverage. Your phones are everywhere within your facilities. Emergency alert, you can select one or all phones, either associated with a cluster or even multiple clusters. Immediate activation, activate via the Alertus server, so you're activating the exact same way you would activate all the other endpoints for Alertus. It's just one that's programmed in and targeted as another notification mode. Activity logging, we're able to track which phones we send the notification to. And then finally, it's secure. We establish a secure connection between our software and the Cisco Call Manager through standards which Cisco's built to ensure security. Plus, all this is behind your firewall, so there's very reduced chance that anybody could get into your network and use or maliciously use any of these capabilities. So quick summary, I'll touch on a few of the highlights here. The visual alerting, so any of the phones, we get the lights to go off, they'll flash. The speaker will engage, speak the message, the WAV file and or tones that you've selected. If a user is on a call, we actually do a whisper page so that there isn't a chance of somebody on the other end of that phone call hearing the alert. A lot of organizations are very sensitive to news going outside of their organization. The media is going to find out in 5 or 10 minutes. Why give them a heads up if they accidentally heard it over an analyst call? We provide the capability, and when that message goes off to a user that's on the phone, it actually whisper pages it instead of announcing it in a way that others that could overhear it on the other side of the phone. The call monitor capability I alluded to earlier, we're able to set up certain extensions, phone numbers, that when those are dialed, key people are notified. So most of our customers leverage 911 to get a heads up on which phone dialed, where it was, so that they can get a jump on responding. We've even heard some customers, if it's a corporate, they want to know if somebody's calling their competitor, but that's up to you if you want to use it for other things other than safety and security. We're able to target dynamic paging groups, so we can target by extension range, IP address, some of the IT tech stuff, but you can really target in which phones are part of that custom message. It's always going to display the text that you selected as your message. And finally, panic button capabilities or activation capabilities. You can put an extension and PIN number in so that if that information is shared with a user or an activator, they're effectively able to do that. Another point is the configuration simplified. Most of us on this phone call are emergency managers. Maybe we're line of business operators, executives, maybe security professionals. We don't know how to program a phone system, that kind of thing. What we do is we set this up ahead of time, make all the connections, and then we give you the power to target which extensions are notified, what the WAV file is that's attached. A lot of the audio and configuration settings are actually point and click, easy to manipulate, change, retarget once the system's installed. So you don't have to call telecom or IT to help you with every little change, which is a huge plus for us security managers, emergency managers that we love IT, but they're not always most available. Their time's stretched. Here's a quick shot on the Cisco VoIP models that are supported, and this basically supports your current and newer phone sets going back quite a few years. So if you don't see one on here, let us know, and we can discuss other ways that we can also reach those endpoints. But this is going to encompass probably 99% of those endpoints that you have out there if you're a Cisco user. We've also developed similar capability for Avaya using the same kind of connections and those kind of things to do stuff like the whisper mode whenever that comes up, be able to target it, specific extensions, take over that screen, provide audible alert, those kind of things. So, if you've got one or the other with Avaya, let's check on the next one. With Avaya, we support both the Avaya Aura platform and the IP Office, the 9600 series sets, and support a lot of the similar capabilities. So if you've either got a mix of these two manufacturers within your environment, we can support that, or if you've got one or the other, we can support that as well. So really gives you some flexibility depending on what phones are out there, what manufacturers are used within your IT network. Finally, we get to the question, okay, I don't have the two industry leaders, Cisco and Avaya. What are my options? We're able to connect in and use SIP, which is a standard protocol, kind of like, think about it as analog phones, but for IP. If it supports SIP, generally it connects to any of the phone systems that are out there and or other systems. So we use that protocol to connect in and potentially and make a call and make an announcement. We use some of the announcement capabilities of the phone set. So it really depends on what phone set you have deployed. But if we can push an audio to them by either a calling group, if we can do what's called a multicast or kind of a blast through your network of audio, a lot of times phones like that will support that. So there's a combination of different ways we can get to non-Cisco and Avaya phones and provide a capability. So bring those to us, and we're happy to fit that solution to the system you have in place today. So at this point, we'll leave some of the additional resources up, and we'll come back to that. But I'd like Joe Tuck to kind of jump in, and we're going to do a quick demo of the Alertus notification system. I'm going to bring up the camera. This is our Alertus demo system. You'll see a lot of the capabilities: the VoIP phone, beacons, digital signage, cable TV, PA integration, desktop, those kind of things. And you'll see that we're able to activate these notifications right from the Cisco VoIP phone. Joe, I'm going to jump into the interface. Do you want to kind of take over from here?
Yeah, sure. So good afternoon for everyone on the East Coast. Good morning for everyone else that's joining us from other places in the country. So what I want to do is kind of dovetail off of what Ryan just stated, I want to point out to some of our devices here on our demo board for those of you who have never seen an Alertus demo. What we have up above us here is the cable TV override. Directly below it is our proprietary alert beacon that Ryan referred to earlier. That's our network connected devices that fills in some of the gaps that some of the other integrations kind of miss. We have some hardware panic buttons here that are defined for different scenarios. Here we have an all clear, a lockdown, and emergency. We can define those for your particular use need. We have a fire panel, which connects fire pole that connects to our fire control panel here. We have a mobile device. We have our text-to-speech static display here. Here's the Cisco phone that we have here that we're going to kind of create an alert here, which you'll see in just a moment. Here directly above us, we have our LED marquee. We have our digital signage override. We have a text-to-speech speaker here, another alert beacon that has an emergency button here for activation. And here's just a standard Windows desktop. So what you're going to see here is that I'm going to dial a 4-digit extension here. Let's see, Ryan's zooming in. Let's see. Are we zoomed in yet? There we go. So we're going to zoom in here on the phone, and what we're going to do is I'm going to initiate an evacuation alert from our Cisco phone. So it's simple as dialing. In this particular one, I'm going to dial 997. You get to define it in your network, which numbers you want to initiate the alert here. So we can go ahead. 997 pound, and we're going to dial it.
Welcome to Alertus notification system. You have called to activate evacuation alert. Please enter the authorization code followed by the pound key.
Okay, and we have an authorization code of 1, 2, 3, 4.
No input received. Please enter the authorization code followed by the pound key. Invalid authorization code entered.
Okay.
Please enter the authorization code again followed by the pound key. The requested alert has been initiated successfully. The Alertus notification has ended. Goodbye.
Okay.
An evacuation order has been issued. Evacuate the premises immediately and await further
As you can hear, it initially sent out a buzz file to the Alertus, the Cisco connected device, along with the WAV file there. We have our text that's being displayed on the screen.
An evacuation order
and we also were successfully able to notify all of our other Alertus connected devices on the network. I apologize for my fat fingering there initially there. So as you can see, it was quite easy with the prompt there. And you also have the ability to initiate an all clear. So after the scenario has been cleared, the emergency is over, we can now initiate an all clear. So I'm going to do that as well. It's going to be a very similar experience.
Welcome to Alertus notification system. You have called to activate all clear situation normal notification. Please enter the authorization code followed by the pound key. The requested alert has been initiated. The Alertus notification has ended. Goodbye.
All right, Joe, I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So.
Okay. As you see a little bit of difference for the all clear, we have the green LEDs on the alert beacon versus the red for another alert, and all of our other Alertus connected devices connected within about 10 seconds. So you can see the speed of connectivity using the Cisco notification.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Joe. And as always with the alerts, there's a lot of reporting that goes along with the system. So we can look at our alert history and see, those two alerts that we activated. The evacuation order activated from the Cisco VoIP phone. We've got a lot of details of which devices were activated. We can either go through and pull device activations, which devices were acknowledged. So I'll just jump in real quick. The one desktop that you saw pop up on your screen, that's the main PC that I work from, and that shows an acknowledgement when I clicked on that to acknowledge. Joe happened to actually silence the alert beacons, which is an option, by pushing the buttons on the front. If you depress both of them, it'll also acknowledge from the alert beacon. So there's acknowledge capabilities from desktops and beacons. Beyond that, generally the key component of reporting also is device status. The Alertus system's fully supervised, so you'll see each of the devices, the alert beacons, the desktops, the digital signage, the cable TV, are all reporting in as existing endpoints. If any of these went offline, they would show up as red. You can also set notifications to let you know when those go offline. So, a little bit about system monitoring, supervision, and the reporting. So there's a lot more to go into there, but the main focus, as everybody was aware, was Cisco VoIP phone. So we'll go ahead and from here, I'll turn it back over to Charisse, and we'll open up for questions, I believe.
Okay. Thank you both. We are now beginning the Q&A session of our presentation. If you have a question, please submit them through the chat or question box. Please note if we do not get to your question during this session, a representative will reach out to answer your question directly. A recording of this webinar will also be shared with you after today's presentation. Now let's begin with our first question. Will the notification to the VoIP phone put the caller on hold if the phone is on an active call? Does the caller hear anything?
No, the caller will not get put on hold. As I mentioned earlier, there's that whisper page capability. What that does is it really actually speaks the message, plays the WAV file in the ear of the person on the phone call, but omits it from the actual call they're on. It also doesn't have the speaker go off on that call because that could be potentially picked up by the headset. So if they're on the call continues. They'll hear the tone. The text will display on the phone. There is a way to acknowledge or get the screen back. So if the user needed to continue their phone call for whatever reason, they could, and it does not impact the phone call or the user on the other side of the phone call as well.
In the VoIP activation, does the phone speaker default to a certain level or the current user settings?
Most situations, especially using some of the embedded tones, ringtones, those kind of things, it defaults to the set level that is set. There's a little bit more control when you're doing a WAV file with multicast, but generally, if you're using standard tones, it leverages the volume on the phone itself.
Can this Alertus service be activated just like desktop alerts via another console?
Oh, absolutely. When you're activating from another console, you generally activate a alert service or a profile. That profile can include all your endpoints. It might be a desktop endpoint that you include. It could be certain extensions on your VoIP phone system. So yes, it activates just like desktop and any other endpoints. You just configure it as part of your alert, and that text and configuration is pushed to it to use the notification as well.
Not sure most, or at least our VoIP phone infrastructure could handle a mass call load like that. Any thoughts or experiences that you'd like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question because the way we develop the technology, we're not actually making a call to the phone. We're sending a little bit of data to that phone with the alert message, the parameters, that kind of thing, and we're integrating directly with the API on the phone or the software that's on the phone. So we're not actually making a call through your network. We're just sending a quick little bit of data. When it comes to a WAV file, let's start first with if you use your tones. Those tones are already loaded on the phone, so we just tell the phone which tones to activate, which lights to flash, that kind of thing. If you use a WAV file, the next question that generally follows that is, what if I'm blasting, WAV files throughout my network? We use multicast, which is a way of broadcasting that file without sending it individually and clogging up the network, but leveraging kind of another lane within the data network to deliver it more efficiently and effectively to all your phones. So, good question. It doesn't jam the phones like making a phone call. It uses the other supported technologies and ways of reaching out to the phone for this use.
Once an alert is made, can the end user still use the phone to make outgoing calls? Can you limit the numbers that can be called?
They can still use the phone. There's a way to, cancel or get back to the home screen. And we haven't implemented a feature of like restricting, numbers being able to be called. We'd have to look at that on a specific use case. That's one of the first times I've heard that requested. But
Yeah, I'd like to kind of add a little bit of information on that. So essentially what we're doing, if we're speaking specifically about the Cisco API integration, we're actually just leveraging any of the features that Cisco has available on the API. And as of today, that's not a feature that they offer. If there are numbers that you need to limit that are going outside of your network, I would recommend doing that on the call manager itself. So that should be a feature that you can limit going outside of your network.
Okay, thank you. Do you support Alcatel SIP sets?
We haven't developed directly to Alcatel. We would default to and do our research on, what kind of SIP calls does it support? What's available on the phone to be able to do say a multicast audio to the speaker set. So that would be a likely, but we want to look at the details of the exact sets you have deployed. Because the Cisco and Avaya, we're actually sending and communicating with the set, so the set has to be able to support those. We can follow up with you after to kind of determine exact fit there for the sets you have deployed.
Are the screen alerts on the phone only text, or can images be displayed?
So that's really going to depend. We're only doing text because that's what the API supports. It's a top line and message push. So, the only differences in the display would be the actual model of the phone itself. Some of the phones, like you saw today, the model of phone we have now is just kind of the standard black screen. But some of the phones do support full color, and we can support that.
Can you discuss the call monitoring capability? For example, could our security staff be alerted and potentially listen in if someone uses a phone within our environment to dial 911?
It could definitely, with the monitoring, be alerted. We could tell you which extension, those kind of things. We don't have the capability to really barge into that call directly from our system, but talking with your IT team that supports your system, they may that is a feature that is within the Cisco capability. So you may be able to use other means to barge into the call, but currently we're sending a notification that the 911 was called.
Okay, thank you. Would the panic button work on the ShoreTel system?
So for the ShoreTel integration, what we would do is we would use our SIP enunciator. ShoreTel offers the availability to subscribe third-party SIP devices, which is what our SIP enunciator is. And essentially what we're doing is we're using the SIP enunciator to dial a page group. So what we would do is we would send text-to-speech information to that device in a similar fashion as a page. Unfortunately, that does not support a panic style or dialing in to initiate an event. What we would recommend in those situations is to augment that with either one of our software panic buttons or with a USB panic button or even a hardware panic button.
Okay, thank you. Can specific phones be excluded? For example, those within the emergency dispatch center, which will likely be already handling the incident.
Absolutely. You can customize the notification or build your notifications to either exclude extensions, include certain extensions, extension ranges. So absolutely, the ability to exclude phones that would cause potential issues or distract responding to the emergency at hand could definitely be set up correctly.
In regards to limiting the numbers, I was curious for this example. A campus-wide emergency has occurred, and our priority is to allow only emergency calls like 911 or security. Would there be an ability to block other outgoing calls until the all clear is given, specifically my telephone system?
No, unfortunately, I think we kind of mildly addressed this in an earlier question. We don't actually control your SIP server, and in this MyTel instance in particular, what we're using is our SIP annunciator in this one. So we currently don't have an API integration with MyTel, only the SIP annunciator, which essentially acts as a third-party SIP device, which is dialing a paging extension.
Okay. Are any additional components, servers, et cetera, needed? Is there additional licensing?
There is additional licensing to add the Cisco VoIP component. It's a one-time. It's then supported under your existing support contract, and there is not additional servers required. We've designed this software to run resident with the existing install if you have it, or on a single server configuration. So there isn't a lot of additional IT heavy lift to support this feature as well.
Thank you. We have now concluded our Q&A section of our presentation. Again, if we did not get to your question, we will directly reach out to you with an answer. If you have any questions or need additional information, please feel free to email marketing@alertus.com and we will be happy to assist. If you're looking for more information on Alertus and our solutions, visit our website, www.alertus.com. If you are interested in upcoming webinars, please visit www.alertus.com/webinars to see the full schedule. Thank you for joining today's webinar, and we look forward to meeting you again soon.